Did you know?
Did you know?
Did you know?
Ordered by General Sherman and called the Special Field Order 15, but it wasn't even his idea. Regardless, he met with 20 black ministers, and it was the first time in American history that they asked black people for their opinion. Sorry, y'all. The ministers told the general what they wanted. It was really simple. They wanted 40 acres per 4 million slaves at that time. And do you know how much acres they already had to give? 400,000 acres. And all they asked were for 40 between the 20 ministers. The order went on to state that the blacks would be free to completely govern themselves. They didn't want to run with them anymore. They wanted to run their own state. At one point, over 40,000 freed men settled on the acreage and created a self-governed small black town. But Andrew Johnson took it from them. Like, why would you even ask if you was just not going to give it to us anyway?
Well, did you know that the Compensated Emancipation Act was created by Abraham Lincoln and paid $300 to each slave owner for each slave lost? So as a result, the slave owners received reparations when the descendant slaves are still waiting for theirs.
Slave owners received reparation for $20 million. That's adds up to 9 billion US dollars.
No.
Did you know slaves brought to Brazil and would ever reach North America, and this was before the first slave ever exited a ship in Virginia?
Young's odyssey began in 1570 when he staged a revolt at the sugarcane plantation near Veracruz. After fleeing into the forest, Young and a small group of former slaves established their own colony, which they called San Lorenzo de los Negros.
Did you know? Did you know that almost 500 years ago, a tall African man arrived in Japan? He would go on to become the first foreign-born man to achieve the status of a samurai warrior, even though he arrived as a slave to Jesuit missionaries known as Yasuke. The man was a warrior who reached the rank of samurai. Within a year, Yasuke had joined the upper echelons of Japan's warrior class, the samurai. He was roughly 6'2". He was black. His skin was like charcoal, as a fellow samurai described him as.
Did you know? Did you know was born in Senegambia and taken at age 7 aboard a ship, the Phyllis, to the USA, sold to Louise of Boston. At just 20, she became the second African poet to publish a book, and the first published African woman in Britain and America. In 1773, she was known for the most famous African woman on earth.
Did you know? Did you know? Other notable voices in England was Ignacio Sanchez. He was an abolitionist, landowner, family man, and author. Now you know.
You know that Abdullah Inequino from Bien was kidnapped at age 11, taken into the West Indies, then to Virginia, where he was purchased by a sea captain and eventually bought his own freedom in 1766. After he settled in England, he became an abolitionist and lecturing against the cruelty of British slave owners in Jamaica. He briefly was in commissary with Sierra Leone for the Committee Relief of the Black Poor. Concerns for the settlers, some 500 to 600 freed slaves. 6 slaves. For the ill treatment, 1,000
ultimately leading to his replacement.
Mary Seacole was born in 19th century Jamaica to a free black woman and a Scottish Army officer. Seacole enjoyed social status without basic civil rights. During the Crimean War, she self-funded her trip to Balaclava, Ukraine, where she nursed beleaguered and wounded British soldiers. It was Seacole, not Florence Nightingale, who contemporary newspapers held as the mother of British soldiers.